Nothing is more pleasant for travelers than the wonderful landscape of Val di Chiana, a delightful corner of Tuscany. Colors, cultivated fields, rows of cypresses, rows of vines and olive trees, rolling hills. And we would like to guide you in order to discover Monte San Savino, a tour plunged into art, nature, hospitality of an ancient village which rises in this striking view. The urban structure is typical of Middle Age and consists in city walls of the 13th century and 4 gates. Porta Fiorentina constitutes the main access to the small town. It is called Porta della Ialta and it was built in the 16th century on a project of Vasari. It was a defense position and used as housing as well. Porta Romana is the one among the other gates that still keeps part of the original construction, while Porta San Giovanni, with its Roman arch, is called after the baptistry once standing just outside the boundary walls. The peace treaty signed in 1481 between Lega and Florence gave the name to the 4th gate, Porticciolo Guglielmi, called precisely Peace Gate. Walking up from Porta Fiorentina, we find Gamurini Square. It's the place of Area Alta, later Aialta, or in the Middle Age, the real fortress crossed by a maze of underground passages and hiding places. Here stand some of the main monuments of Monte San Savino. The characteristic obelisk, erected in 1664 to honor Matthias de' Medici, was Prince of Monte San Savino until 1667. The Palazzo della Cancelleria, a building of the 16th century, seat of city council in the past, and nowadays a public library. Here, pictures of leading personalities of the town, of Medicis and Lorena, were exposed. Property of family Galletti, very well known in Monte San Savino, the Palazzo Galletti was rebuilt as a luxury residence, and today a seat of technical school. It is the first Renaissance building of the village. Last but not least in the square are the Church of Santa Chiara and Castro. The former was built in 1659 and inside preserves many works of art. Among them, we can see the altarpiece with Saints Lawrence, Roch and Sebastian. And a valuable altarpiece of Madonna and Saints, works of San Savino. The Castro is the fortress of the ancient town, once surrounded by a deep moat, accessible by a drawbridge. The facade shows a jutting balcony and a marble lily of Florence. It now houses the City Museum, which displays a notable pottery collection of the local tradition. It's possible to admire different specimens from Middle Age to the present time, such as Scaldini col Fischio, devotional plates, reproductions and archaeological finds. Walking along Corso San Gallo in the heart of the whole town centre, we find out little by little small hidden treasures and elegant buildings. It's the case of Palazzo Tavarnesi of 16th century. It's the new residence of the Montes, which in the documents is said to be next to their palace. Then we see Palazzo di Monte and the Logge, that so stately face each other in the halfway of Corso San Gallo. The elegant 16th century building of Palazzo di Monte is nowadays the seat of town hall. Inside there is the harmonious courtyard with cross-vault arcade. On the first floor, the municipal effigy and time images representing justice are painted above the entrance of the town council hall, while the portraits of illustrious citizens of Monte and Savino and of former rulers of Tuscany adorn the long corridor. Wonderful is the roof garden at the back of the palace, where we find the open-air theatre with its 500 seats. Beside the garden of the Monte Palace stands the Church of Supraja. It is rumored that when in the 19th century the Adimollo made here a series of paintings, the artist used to depict even all the people who stopped to look at him working. So today, all the family can see some ancestor naturally portrayed in the picture once placed in this church. Just opposite Palazzo di Monte, we find the logge of the 16th century and attributed to Nanni di Baccio Bigio. They were built in 1541 in the market square to protect goods in display, and during the years they were used as covered market, from which the actual name Merchants' Logge. Further on, along Corso San Gallo, we can admire Palazzo Pretorio. This 14th century palace, together with a tower 30 meters high, is the most ancient and noble public building of Monte San Savino. The tower keeps many original openings, and the bell has figures of relief of saints people of the local tradition. Dedicated to Saint Egidius and Saint Sabinus, the Pieve, which dates back to the 12th century, has a characteristic bell tower, and inside we find several important works of art. The most appealing is the tomb of the jurist Fabiano Ciocchi di Monte, but also canvas of Saints Peter and Paul, and a carved organ of the early 16th century is noteworthy. The picturesque town centre envelops the visitor in a unique atmosphere, and it seems to make a journey through the centuries. An example are the plaques like the one placed in 1881 on the wall of the house of San Savino, a memorial to the famous architect and sculptor Andrea Contucci, known as San Savino, who lived in that house. His tomb is in the Church of St. Augustine, and whose tombstone can be seen on the left entering the main door. The church, built by the Augustinian fathers, is rich in works of art. Among them, the beautiful rose window of the facade and the Assunta of Vasari. Due to the great artist San Savino is also the project of the precious St. Augustine cloister of admirable harmony and composure of lines. And the elegant portal of St. John Baptistry dated back to the 15th century and originally an oratory dedicated to St. Anthony. Even tiny details and decorations fascinate those who visit Monte San Savino. Palazzo Filippi near Porta Romana shows a wrought iron and bronze baluster with flowers, leaves, fruits, birds, and a Filippi effigy made at the end of the 18th century. Turning in Via Conte Cungi, we find St. Joseph Church, which was built, as it is rumored, in Abomination Place, very bad and disgrace of the village. Further on, you can enter the ex-convent of Benedictine nuns, founded, as someone says, in the 14th century by two sisters in order to do penance after visiting the sanctuary of Virgin of Ertigue. The convent was dedicated to the Immaculate Conception, and later it also included an old hospital of the local community. One very peculiar building is the ex-synagogue, located in Via Salmon Fiorentino. It gives evidence of the Jewish community in Monte Savino and of its long presence in the village. The present structure was right the seat of synagogue, the school, and probably even the house of the rabbi. We can still observe a niche that preserved sacred laws, and below the remains of the hardware pipes used for the ritual bath. In the heart of the village stands the historical building of Teatro Verdi, once dedicated to San Savino. It is a classical Italian-style theatre with 3 tiers of boxes. In the present bar hall, you can still make out parts of the structures and decorations of the old oratory, where the first plays were performed. The village of Monte San Savino is a lovely element of an harmonious landscape context of great beauty, scattered with as charming and picturesque villages and faith places. After crossing the bridge of the river Esse, we reach the hill of Ertigue, where stands the old and venerable sanctuary of 16th century, dedicated to the Virgin of Ertigue, protectress of the A1 motorway. Inside, on the high altar, we can admire a painting on wood panel of Our Lady of Ertigue with the Holy Child and 4 stories of the Virgin, and Romanesque cups, still intact. It is just that, which according to the legend was lifted by 2 angels, kept and brought to Ertigue from Asciano to avoid bloodshed. Along the main road 73 towards Siena, that climbs through the greenness of woods, we arrived at the ancient castle of Gargonza, once property of Ubertini, and often under the different controls of Florence and Siena. The castle has a strong boundary wall, which reminds its old function of small fortress. Here, even Dante found shelter, as testifies the plaque placed above the main access to the castle. During their expansion and control over Valdichiana, the Medicis practiced big transformations, carrying out the first major reclamation works. Then, many sharecropping farms of royal properties were built, such as Fontarronco. The house, placed in the center of the farm, has an elegant facade in which stands out the picturesque 3-arched loggia and 2 strong side towers. The Medicis sold the farm in 1651 to the Order of the Cavalieri di Santo Stefano, to whom is dedicated the chapel of the villa. They put into practice a large reclamation project, taking possession of San Luciano in order to improve its productivity. The small church, already existing in the 14th century, has a simple facade with an effigy of the Monte family. Improvements carried out in Valdichiana led to a healthy climate and to the consequent development of settlements and agricultural centers. In Tonacato, we can admire the elegant country house of 19th century, which keeps today original structures of the 17th century. Monte San Savino, then, turns out to be a perfect union of art, history, and peace of the surrounding nature, and it constitutes for its inhabitants and visitors the ideal place for being at ease and getting to know whole local traditions.